Hello and welcome to another video where we're ranking Genshin areas. We will be ranking them based on harmony, world building, and gameplay. Let's get started with Windwail Valley. This is pretty much the very first area that we experienced in the game. This introduces us to Paimon. It teaches us about elements. It gives us a tutorial on how to play the game. It is the very first dungeon. The music is perfect. It's like a hype song. The song gives us a familiar feeling of an open world or anime game, and it's also very quiet, which makes the perfect harmony of this area. We were also introduced to the Animal Archon. Two of the wind temples are in this area as well. There's not exactly any unique mechanics in here, but you learn how enemies work. This is probably one of the biggest area in Mondstadt. Most of the stuff we do in the beginning is here, so I would say it's a high A or low S, mostly because of nostalgia. Let's put it in high A. Next we got Galesong Hill. The music in this is pretty quiet, but it is like paired with the terrain. This is the area on which we got the three Hilichurl tribes. We are introduced to the combat music, which is amazing and it still adds to the nostalgia. Dadaupa Gorge carries this area pretty much, to be honest. And Cape Oath introduces us to Abyss, the endgame. This area also has the entrance camp for Dragonspine. There was also an animal flying thingy that was very annoying in the beginning, but the more we played, it kind of got better. I think that is much easier now. For the harmony, I would say it's an A, but the gameplay was a B. So I would say an overall for Galesong Hill would be high B or mid B. Next we have Windwail Highland. This area has the best boss fight music, and most of the lore is placed into this area. We have the winery, the tiny village. It is very aesthetic. We also have the statue of the Seven, Aintree as the boss, and we also weren't able to access him that easily. There's no other gameplay in these areas except for the boss, so those pretty much go into A because of the world building. And then we got Brightcrown Mountains. This is the area that has melancholic music and a scary vibe at the same time. There are like big towers. It makes it so mysterious. Also reminds us that there was an old civilization there, which was Old Mondstadt. Storm Terror was protecting this place. We also got the trailer with the sister or brother seeing us here. We had very strong lore. Here we had to fight Storm Terror. We had to get rid of the three statue layers, which was pretty confusing. So I would say this area is pretty much a mid S or low S. Next we got Dragonspine, which was really painful in the beginning because of the cold system. The music was amazing in Dragonspine in my opinion. It has one of the best soundtracks in the game. This area actually felt cool. Freeze it! It made us feel like we were experiencing cold in real life. The lore was great. We learned about Albedo and his mother, Rindator. In terms of gameplay, we only got the cold system and my guy died. At that time, we barely had any pyro characters to use, so it was kind of annoying to deal with, especially because we had Amber, which was a really slow way to deal with the cold. So yeah, overall for Dragonspine, I would say low S, even though I hated the cold. And there also was a challenge with the three Abyss mages. So yeah, because of that, it's gonna be a low S. Next, we have Bishui Plain. Overall, it has gorgeous ambience, gorgeous aesthetics. The music is really amazing. We got a good quest in there, and we also got the Windwail Hill and Chenyu Village, which is very beautiful in my opinion. One of the best views and sceneries in Bishui Plain. We also got introduction to Xiao in Wangshu Inn, and then we also had Zhongli quest with Alderay. In terms of gameplay, we had the Oceanid, I don't know how to say its name. I'm pretty sure everyone will agree with me on this one. That boss was not very fun to fight. I would say Bishui Plain is in solid low A. Next we got Chongchi Estuary, which was decent. There was not much that happened there. We got some quests. We had to fight those ruin guards. In terms of music, I don't really remember the music, but it was okay, I think. I would say this would go into C because there's not much happening in there. And then we got Sea of Clouds. This is probably one of the best sceneries I've seen in Genshin, especially in the beginning. This was one of the very first areas. The very moment you enter Liyue, the song starts playing and it makes you feel really enthusiastic. The pacing was great, the placement of the waypoint is fantastic, the city looks amazing, especially at night or during Lantern Rite. We also got introduced to the Jade Chamber, Liyue Harbor, big mountains show how Zhongli chose the best part to build a city. Guyun Stone Forest lore is pretty cool, it had a cool cutscene. In terms of gameplay, we got the child fight, rune guards in Guyun Stone Forest, and that's pretty much it. Child fight was pretty hard in the beginning, many players struggled with him, and then he got nerfed. Yay! I would say this is a solid S. I really love this place, I still love going there, and seeing this area is just amazing. Next we got Lisha. Music there is pretty nice, the scenery is amazing, we got a decent quest, but it was confusing. If you don't remember the area, let me show you real quick and remind you. This was the place with the tree pools. It was confusing because there weren't any instructions, and there were some puzzles that were a bit confusing, and one of them required you to have Geo. So if you didn't have a Geo character, you would have to ask someone to help you. I'd say this is a solid B. Next we have Minlin. It is probably one of the most Leo looking part. The music fits very well, but at some point it stops playing in some places. We got the Huogong Stone Forest, which is based on real life places, and it makes it even better. It is a very good representation of Liyue. We also got the Adepti place, and the story was pretty okay. In terms of gameplay, we got the Cloud Retainers Air Currents, Primo GOV Shop. Ajdaha was pretty cool in the beginning. Maybe sometimes it was a bit frustrating, but I think it was a pretty cool fight. I would say this is a solid A. And then we got Chenyu Vale. This area has been introduced to us recently. The music feels very unique compared to the other parts of Liyue. It fits very well. We also got introduced to a new side of Liyue and a different culture, so this was pretty refreshing. In terms of gameplay, we got the riding turtles, which was really cool, at least to me. And then we also have riding the boat, and it made the immersion much better. We also had the new boss, the cat boss. I don't know what it's called, but that boss was solid, I would say. It was not very frustrating to beat or too easy. It's just right. I would say Chenyu Vale is a solid high A. I gotta mention that Chenyu Vale also has an amazing view. It almost feels like it's not part of Liyue, but you get what I mean. I also forgot to mention that the mountain, Leishi, I don't know how to pronounce it, I'm sorry. That part of Chenyu Vale was pretty okay. We had some interesting lore regarding Fujin. The scenery was pretty cool, but it felt like a B to me. So I would say Chenyu Vale, Upper Vale, and Southern Mountain would be in A, and the other one would be in B. Next we have Chasm, altogether underground and surface. Music and Chasm fits together, honestly. It feels like it served its purpose. We were introduced to the Celestial Nail, which we have seen already in Dragonspine before. The Hilichar lore has been explained to us. The only bad part about it was that it felt like a maze. Like the chasm itself felt like it was complicated to explore. The mechanic of the Lumen Spar was frustrating to keep. I wouldn't say it was one of the best gameplays, but it was okay. It made us feel like the corruption was there, I guess. Otherwise, I would say Chasm is a B, a solid B. And then we're gonna head into Inazuma. One of the very first islands we have been introduced to was Narukami Island. The overall atmosphere gives you the feeling that this is Japan. Like, it legit feels like this is actually Japan. Everything is very nice put together. We got introduced to a new nation, new enemy types, new materials. Nobushi farming was annoying due to less drops, but now it got increased. We also had the PMA, Perpetual Mechanic Array. It was one of the bosses we tested damage on. And then we got the Raiden weekly boss, which was pretty hard in the beginning and hard to figure out, unless you were a bit smarter. Me and my friends struggled to fight her, so the Wave Rider didn't really fit in this area for some reason. We didn't really get to use it that much. And then in terms of fighting and exploring, it was not bad. It was okay. The Electrograna was a bit clunky. It felt clunky and it was not fully taken advantage of. I would say Narukami Island is a mid-A. Even though I love the scenery in this area, I love the blue forest with the blue flowers. We also have Kamisato Estate. But yeah, this is pretty much mid-A, high-A. I also forgot to mention that it has the shrine where we meet Yaemiko. Next we got Kannazuka. There was not anything special about it in my opinion. We just got a multi-day quest which we had to complete like every day. It was pretty challenging because of the quest here. We had to remove the purple shield, I would call it. I forgot what it was called. We also got the Pyro Hypostasis in this area. It's a generic boss. We also got the Kujo encampment, which was not shown that much. Tatarasuna was alright, but a bit annoying. So I would say Kannazuka is in a B. Next, we got Yashiori Island. This area had like gloomy atmosphere. We also had like the dead god in here that Raiden killed. The music portrays the story and the island pretty well, and it fits so much. Makes you feel like you were there. This island was split in two by A if you remember the lore. You can still see the remnants of Orobashi. There's also a quest which allows you to remove the rain. It's always there if you don't do the quest. The lore had good quotations. We also got introduced to the Inazuma Spider-Man thingy. I forgot what it's called, so I'm gonna show it on the screen. And then we got the Magukenki boss fight, which is to this day one of the most fun bosses to fight. And then there's no other gameplay, and that puts Yashiori Island in high B, low A. Next we got Watatsumi Island. This island does not feel gloomy at all like the rest of the islands in Inazuma. The music works very well with this area. It has a warmer tone compared to the other colder tones of the rest of Inazuma. We got introduced to Kokomi, and this place makes us feel like the place truly belongs to her. We also got the swirl pool that takes you to Enkanomiya. It had really strong lore, and it feels pretty much different from the other parts of Inazuma. In terms of gameplay, I would say the specters were the most annoying enemies in this area, and the Hydro Hypostasis was pretty easy. Watatsumi Island is a solid A. Next we got Tsurumi Island. This is the area which had the mist that you had to remove by doing the quest. It was okay, but I guess being locked behind that fog, it was a bit frustrating. The music resembles that something is dead in here. Characters become a bit darkened, and it has a mysterious atmosphere to it. I guess it's a solid B. We also got introduced to the remarkable chests in this area, so one of the most useless chests in the game. Unless you're a fan of Serenity Pot. So let's put it in B. Moving on to Seirai Island. This island was pretty much interesting when it came out. It has some pretty cool puzzles, some of them which did not have any instructions, or maybe they did, but I honestly don't remember finding them. It is also very pretty. It also feels like its own little place. The puzzles were really fun, as I said, but there was nothing really memorable in here other than the Thunder Manifestation, which was one of the bosses that has been added to the Abyss multiple times, and we lost our minds over that. So I guess that reduces its rating. But yeah, that's pretty much it for Seirai Island, so I would say it's an A. And then we're heading into Sumeru, Avidia Forest. In this area, everything feels great about it. I don't know why. The music is wonderful and it fits very well. We meet with Tignari and Kole. We get introduced to the village. We start the Varanara quest, which I'm pretty sure you didn't complete because it's a very long quest and you probably don't want to finish it. I had to do it on both of my accounts. But it also has good sides to it, such as the Sumeru city, which is gorgeous. We also got the Academia on top of the tree. And once again, we have been introduced to a different Spider-Man gameplay. Let's go. We also got Dendro reactions, which is one of the best reactions in the game so far. We have so many ways to use the reactions, so this is a high A. Next, we got Ardravi Valley. I hope I'm not saying it wrong. This is the area that introduces us to Port Ormus, and it has one of the best soundtracks in the game. I hope everyone can agree with this. The world building was beautiful. The Roengar lore was pretty decent. This area shows how nature can still grow and claim whatever is left. It's pretty much harmonious, and there's no particular gameplay. The Drake boss was fun to fight. This is a solid high A. Next we got Vanarana, which is where the Aranora quest takes place. It was a very long quest, and if you didn't read it, it made your experience much worse. Honestly, I love this area because of the scenery. You can change between the times and get two sides of this area, one at night and the other one was pretty vibrant, to be honest. And the music is also amazing. I really vibe to it. I actually love it. So yeah, this is a mid A, I would say. And then we got Ashavan Realm. Doesn't really have anything special. Pretty much shows more of Sumeru. The quest was okay. The music blends in, which can make your experience more immersive. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I think it's a solid B or C. The next one is Vizudha Field, which pretty much introduced us to the corrosion gameplay. Didn't really stand out, and it also introduced us to the underground system. This is a solid C. If you disagree, I'd love to know your your opinion on these, so make sure to tell me in the comments down below. And then we got the Lost Nursery. This was pretty much locked behind a quest. If you don't do the quest, you cannot go there. We got more Aranara lore, and the atmosphere was pretty much giving that it's abandoned and a bit scary. I guess it's a lobby, unless I don't remember much about it. Land of Lower Setek. This is the first area that introduces us to the desert. It shows how it separates the desert and the forest. And then we got the Aru village and the Caravan Rabat. It shows how people are living a different way here. The music blends in with it. Contrast shows the difference between Aru village and Caravan Rabat. We got the Danger Hypostasis here, which was easy to forget about unless you had to build Nahida or other Danger characters. Kajni suit stood out the most, and we got some cool mechanics. I would say it's a high B. And then we have the Land of Upper Setek. There wasn't much that stood out, but there was like an active ruin guard. You most probably remember this area by the ruin guard, which was pretty much shooting at you most of the time if you were in its sight, and it was pretty frustrating. It can be a very forgetful area. It had some underground caves with some puzzles, which can be easily missed if you don't use the ruin guard to open them. If you want more details on this, you would have to search it up on YouTube. I guess it's a C. Next we got Hypostyle Desert. This area has the biggest pyramid. The environment is very cool in my opinion. It also introduces us to more underground system, which was a bit confusing, but there were some cool puzzles with new system that would help you unlock more rooms in the pyramid. And it also introduces us to King the Shred. I'd say it's a high B for scenery and lore, but for exploration, it's probably be a C. And then we got the Lokapola Jungle. This was a mysterious forest with very nice music. It had a lot of focus on danger reactions, and it was pretty subtle, to be honest. The area itself was pretty, and there was nothing that stood out, so I guess it's a solid B. And then we got the Desert of Hadramaveth. This was pretty much the most overwhelming part of Sumeru, at least to me. It was not very fun. We got some quest here. I don't really remember it, but I think it was related to King the Shred. The scenery itself was okay. I mean, it's a desert. What can you expect from it? The music felt mysterious or dangerous, I would say. And we also got introduced to a new mechanic, which you needed the little races to use for this. It's a pretty huge area. It also loses points for having the Weenot as a boss, which terrorized everyone in the abyss. But honestly, I would say it's a C. The next one is Gavireh Lajavard. In my opinion, the scenery was pretty gorgeous. I don't exactly remember the quest, but I think it was frustrating because you had to go from place to another place. There were also unique puzzles such as this one, and also this, which was related to the quest. We also got the Baptist. It was one of the bosses that you had to use multiple elements against, and it also had a unique underground system. I would say it's a solid B. And then we got the Realm of Farakhkert. Music blends in pretty well. It had some creative puzzles such as the one with the flower or the flying thingies. This area had 2 domains, and then we got the quest, the lore with the mini Sorush. The Sorush were pretty cute. We also got a different mechanic which was related to music. You had to play some drums, and you had to remember the order in which you have to play it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I guess it's in a IB. So we also got Enkanomiya, which was unlocked by doing the quest in Watatsumi Island. People from Watatsumi Island were pretty much from Enkanomiya. We got some interesting lore. The music fits very well with the atmosphere and it's very well put together. We have learned a lot about the Val lore in this area. The exploration was not as frustrating, but we had the system where we had to switch the light. And if you were not near any of those, you would have to teleport away and change it to a different time, either night or day. That was a bit frustrating. In terms of bosses, we had the Baptismal Bishop herd. This fight was pretty annoying at the beginning, and it was locked behind a quest. If you had to level up a character, you would have to continue the quest in Enkanomiya, and then you would unlock them. There were also some challenges on the islands that you could do to get rewards. Enkanomiya was pretty much unique. I really loved it, so I would say it's a high A or low S. Then we're gonna head into Fontaine. The very first region we were introduced to was Below region. This has introduced us to the Aqua Bus, which was a system to travel around with. There wasn't anything that stood out about it other than remembering it as the first area of Fontaine. We also had Poison in this area, and it played an important role to the story. It also was a mini introduction to the underwater system. We had the Crab Boss, which was pretty nice to fight, especially if you had Hydro characters. It would be a solid B. And then next to it, we got Beryl region. This area was pretty much dedicated into the Melusines and the quests and the lore about them, how they were created and how they live and stuff like that. Nothing stood out once again other than the bones, which we don't know much about. I'm not sure if there's any lore like separately that talks about them. This is also the area that introduces us to Pnoma and Osea, and it was a bit tiring as we had to do extra steps. So I would say it's a high C, low B. The next one is Court of Fontaine region. This is the main area in which the story takes place. We have the opera epicles, the Fountain of Lucine. All these come together and form a really amazing place in my opinion. And since the story takes place here, it also helps you accommodate to the place itself. The music was amazing and it blends in really well. The underwater didn't have anything special to it, but we had a unique boss which has two different ways to fight, and that is the Hydro Tulpa, which can be a bit frustrating and annoying to fight. This area goes easily in high A. Next we got Leafy region, was pretty much the place in which Fortress of Meropide exists. It is shown as a home to the people in there that live in the Fortress of the Meropide. They are accommodating to the rules there. The quest was not exactly very pleasant because it felt like you were stuck in the quest for a long time, and in fact you were. I guess they wanted you to feel like it was an actual jail, and I would say it's a low A, high B. And then we got the Mortar region, which as the name itself says, it's pretty much dead. There's not much happening in there, nothing that stood out to me. The underwater was alright, and the tower there was pretty interesting. That was the only thing that I can remember about it, but I have pretty much nothing to say about it, so I would say it's a solid C. Next to it we got the Ernie's Forest. Again, nothing special about it, but we get introduced to a very nice NPC which I love, and it's probably one of my favorite NPCs so far. And it's passive. Who doesn't love passive? Let's be honest, like, she's amazing. This is also the area that changes based on if you do the quest or not, so if you do the quest, don't forget that you're gonna get extra materials for Farina or other characters. So let's see. Fontaine Research Region. This is probably one of the longest name an area has in this game, and I'm not gonna say it entirely. Overall, this region is a B. I don't have much to say about it. The lore and the quest didn't exactly appeal to me, and exploration was kind of frustrating, mostly because of the floating cubes. Those cubes induced some anxiety in me, to be honest. I was scared of falling. I'm pretty much sure other people relate to this. As I said, overall B for this region. And then we got the last region of Fontaine, which was Petricor and the Sea of Bygone eras. Petricor is a small island. There's nothing much going on about it. I guess that's the point of it. But it has a hidden library. The quest was alright. We got basically introduces us to the Sea of Bygone eras. And the Sea of Bygone eras, it had a really peaceful atmosphere. The music feels tranquil, and it's the only area fully covered in water. It had an interesting system with the whale, which helped you get across from one point to another. The puzzles were pretty much unique, especially because it's in Fontaine, and it represented much of the European cultures. Petricor would be a B, and the Sea of Bygone eras would be an A. And then the last nation we got is Natlan. The very first one is Takemekan Valley. It's pretty much the very first area we get introduced to. This is the entrance to Natlan. Bit of the story takes part in here. We get introduced to Kachina. We also get an interesting quest where we get a mini dinosaur as a pet. We learn how to use the dinosaurs. We also learn about other mechanics. There are also new animals. There's also new materials such as flowers and stuff. The music is actually really good in this area. It makes us feel like we're in a different nation. It blends in very well with the nature. Natlan is very mixed, so we have been exposed to that quite a bit in this area. There isn't anything much that stood out about it other than the scenery, which we see from the edge of the cliff where you can see the entire Natlan from it, but we can also see the volcano from there, and then we also see big dinosaurs, which is pretty cool. I was very excited about that, so I would say it's a solid high A. And then we got the Coatepec Mountain. This is the area that introduces us to a different type of saurian. It's the green one. This also has a different tribe, the Scions of the Canopy. There's some sort of quest here which I don't exactly know the lore of. There's an underground system, and there's some sort of ruins, which is pretty cool, and it had a really cool atmosphere. The music is pretty hype, and I feel like it fits together. So I would say this is a solid low A, For high B, the next one we got was Basin of Unnumbered Flames. Another long name. This is pretty much where the main Archon quest took place in. We get introduced to Mavuika, we also get introduced to the tournament, we also get introduced to Capitano. There's also a new culture, so we see how people from Natlan live like. We also get the explanation for why there's no Natlan people in other nations. The pacing was a bit slow, but the music was alright. In terms of gameplay, we got the Yamkasor. I hope I'm saying it right. It's a pretty fun boss to play, and it's also really cute. It reminds me of Snorlax, but bigger. So it's a very cute boss. And I would say this would go in high A. And then the last area we got in Natlan is Toyac Springs. Once again, it didn't really stand out much to me. This is where the water Saurian lives. It has a different gameplay from the other Saurians. Once again, some part of the Archon quest takes place here, so we get to experience this area for quite a few minutes. This is where we're shown how Moalani and her people live. It's pretty much unique from the other characters. The music also is pretty good, and it fits very well with the area, so I would say this is a solid low B, high A. And yeah, I think this is pretty much the tier list. Let me know in the comments down below if you agree with my opinions. If not, it's totally fine. I understand. I wasn't sure if I should add the event areas, which were limited, so since they were limited, I'm guessing they shouldn't count. If you want me to add them in the future video where I rank areas once again, probably when Snezhnaya comes out, which is in a year now. So yeah, let me know if you want me to add those events as well. I also try to make this as fast as possible and not give too many details. Do let me know if I missed out anything. So yeah, I hope you really enjoyed this video, and if you want me to make more of them, let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear your opinions. If you made it this far into the video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget to check me out on Twitch. And I promise you, I'm much funnier there. Also, don't forget to join our Discord server where we have community events that we host, and we have some pretty cool people, so yeah. And also, do not forget about the welcome giveaway that I will be making at 1000 subscribers. So make sure to share this video and let your friends know about it. Thank you so much once again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.